Thank you very much for coming back to us. Now, this rapidly flying away in time for this show. We actually thought it was part 3. Apparently, now
we should have seen it in the crystal ball.
We should have seen it coming. But something you said in the break, which was really interesting. Both of you were saying about that you're reinforcing your own ideas on what people tell you.
Well, the best way to do it is if you know the person, if you can get to know what their beliefs are, then all you've got to do is reinforce their beliefs to get a hit. You know, and that's the best way of dealing with it, rather than enforcing your own beliefs onto somebody else. Get to know the person that you're reading for, and that's what they try and train to do. Try and obtain as much information in the short given time that they have, and utilise that information, and then start feeding you positives. So that I'm watching your responses as they give it, because they know when you're not doing very well, you can get. You don't get a response from the individual, then suddenly they get a raised eyebrow on something. So that's a hit. Keep that in the back of the mind, because I can reinforce on that one and maybe sort of get you. And what they're doing is they're reading you in a sense.
Talking about body language, like you were saying.
It's exactly it. It's a very clever technique, but it can be taught. It's very easy to learn it.
But this is the thing with tarot cards, and I shouldn't say it, and I don't mean to offend anyone out there. I really don't, because if this is your belief, this is obviously, I respect that. But I just don't understand the mindset of people who think that by turning a card next to another card somehow says what their future is going to be. I can't comprehend that in my mind.
Especially when the other person's turning it over and not you. It's meant to have your sort of feelings going into it, I would have thought, but it's the tarot reader that turns them over, not the person.
Doesn't the person shuffle it and then the tarot take it off the top, or is that one technique?
Well, no, that's
of a million.
Well, it's one technique. It's the old method.
They can cut them, or the reader shuffles them and they say stop. But the actual reader turns them over.
There are lots of different ways of doing tarots. There are lots of different ways of setting the cards out in a circular fashion, in the four houses. Yeah. There are so many different ways. But it's what they say is it's what best suits you. If these cards are yours, these are supposed to be an extension of yourself. So therefore, you do what you feel comfortable. You can lay them out any way you want to, how you feel you're comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, you've got all the one that's interpreting that information, so you've got to feel comfortable with it.
Peter Cushing did it on the bottom of his doctor's bag. He had his little bag, and he did it on the bottom of that, which to me seemed perfect. It's just the right size to fit.
I think it sounds good, just burning a pack and then reading the smoke.
Love it. Someone out there will be doing that. We'll do it this afternoon.
Something like smokeography or something.
Yes. Smokeography.
I'm painting it right now.
Run out there and do it now, because you can make a fortune. Come in, I'll burn it there.
Chimney reading.
And what you can do is you can have the
still
deluxe.
in the Vatican. People go, how many popes are there?
You can have the deluxe thing where you reburn it. So you actually reburn the ashes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Then you read the ashes, put the ashes into a cup, put a bit of tea in it, and then you're doing that as well.
You find though,
if
you actually look through each form of divination, there is an ancient art to them. Like originally it would have been the crystal ball reading comes from gazing at reflections. Comes from water. It's water basically. It comes from. Hence, people use mirrors as well. And your own reflection in water. That's probably where you originated from. But it strings out into anything that, and they lose sight of what the original meaning was. The idea of that form of ography was for you to see your own reflection, but you don't often see your own reflection in crystal balls. You tend to see a bent form of light, the room in the light.
It's actually quite horrific what you see in there, because it's disjointed and out of shape. That's the thing.
I know. But if you look at your reflection for long enough anyway, it'll start to change.
Well, I have to admit, I was looking at a crystal ball, and I thought to myself, I can't. Yeah, that's horrible. I can't look at myself like that. Then I looked in a mirror, and I realised it wasn't a crystal ball. It was just a normal mirror.
Yeah.
So I actually did look.
I have that problem. You look like a wobbly mirror in a circus.
It's ridiculous, but no, that's what again, staring at something. And I wonder whether I'd like to do some more research in this. Whether looking at something circular and you concentrate will make you see things more. Yeah, because
we're starting to get onto the extrasensory perceptional side here, really, because there are little fringes that sort of goes over in that direction, such as we have to say we've got a survival sense to begin with. The real survival sense, such as if you stare at somebody's back of the head enough, they'll turn around and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they can feel the burn.
The burn. Yeah, exactly. That old survival sense, there seems to be some evidence that we still do have it. I mean, at some time we would have been hunter-gatherers, and there would have been predators out there, lots of tigers and bears and things, which would have been hunting man. You know, what a great thing to have, a survival sense, when you get the feeling that you're actually being watched. Isn't it wonderful?
Well, there's the sixth sense where if you've been with a partner for a long time, say 4, 5, 6 years or more, you always know when something's wrong. It's like a sixth sense. And
we refer to that called telepathy.
Or when you think about somebody and then they ring you. You're not heard from them. You're not heard from Bob.
But you've got to be really close to that person. A partner is a good example of it, because I've had it a few times, and you know something's wrong and you have to give a call, and you're right, there's something wrong.
I think it's just simply that, you know, it's probably not utilised as much, because we survive quite well just going to Tesco's once a week now, don't we? You know,
or any other.
We're not exactly threatened that.
Also, I can feel in the back of my head when I haven't done the dishes. I'm terrified of going home.
When you're sitting there watching the television, you actually haven't got up for an hour and a half. You get that horrible burning sensation, but it's usually hot water for me anyway, boiling water. No, but that's that thing. That I know we're going on to sort of a little bit of ESP, which is a bit too late in the programme to go on to this, but we kind of ended there, which is it's a bizarre thing. You look at your dogs and your cats, and they all, you know, everyone says they know when you come down in the morning, either when you're going on a holiday or when you're going to take them to the vet. And even if you said to, because you hear people, I mean, Yvette says it. She said it's weird, you know. Stan, one of our dogs, he said, I didn't even tell him he was going to the vet, and he knew. I mean, well, he doesn't understand English. You know, you can tell him he's going to go to the vet.
I think,
unless you bark it.
It's just the mind is awesome. It really is what it can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that could be a discussion all itself. You know, I know I'm going off the subject a little bit, but you hear stories of like a woman pushing a pram down and then tripping, and the pram goes flying down, it falls over, the baby goes under her car, and the car slides over it. At that point, her rational brain switched off, because all she's worried about is that baby. There's been reports of women just lifting the car up and grabbing a baby.
Right, yeah.
And that's your brain switching off, saying, you know, adrenaline taking over. And this is stuff our brain can do.
So that, I mean, that is another great topic, because you're looking at, if our brain can override our physical capability.
Well, actually, we already know that through stigmatics, don't we?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because, you know, self-induced spontaneous physical marking appears. So when we tell them that Christ is more than likely through the wrist as opposed to the palms, so the phenomenon moved.
So if we can switch our common sense, our common rational thought off for physical ability, can we do that for mental ability? And can we do that, you know, to that point, can we communicate mentally? If we can do these things, these extreme feats with our physical bodies, can we do the same with our mental?
It's a very possibility. I think in fact the body is governed by the mind. I would definitely say, I mean, sick mind, sick body. You know, I wouldn't say it would be the other way. There's plenty of evidence. Even with hypnosis, you can run little tests, and you can say, you know, you place a 2p piece on somebody's arm and say, you know, it's hot, and you can start to see a blister appear. You know, on some occasions. So it does show that, you know, even markings, how you feel. If you believe something strongly enough, you can cause a physical effect.
But yeah, again, and that's that thing, you know, just because dogs still have it, and I wonder if it's, you know, animals still have it, but there's almost that point, then why do cows go into the back of a slaughter truck if they know they're going to slaughter, or do they just accept the fact, or do they not understand what death is? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole
it's an interesting thing.
But there's that point, just because they've got it, is that because no one's told them they haven't, and it doesn't exist?
I mean,
we're constantly told it doesn't.
There's been studies of animals. You know, people have numerous scientists and a couple of parapsychologists have looked into the theory of telepathic animals which may be telepathic, and they've done numerous tests. One was such a dog that knew of its owner every time its owner was coming up.
We are actually going to have to invite you back again. We're running out of time. We've got to go because we are running very late. But thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much to my guests. Please join us again next time. Goodbye.